We are a group of people doing research and practitioners as well from the island of La Réunion in the Indian Ocean. And so we are very happy and excited to be joining you remotely. We are going to talk about different perspectives on tools, on initiatives that are used on the island to raise preparedness in the population, to raise resilience as a general result. This is part, not necessarily the tools that you will see, but this kind of general investigation is part of a project that is funded by the European Union, Horizon project called SYNERGIES, in which we are collaborating with a number of stakeholders locally, and so these will be some of the stakeholders that you see today. Just to give you a very quick sense of what the project is about, because this is not the topic of the presentation, but just to give you a bit of context. Project SYNERGIES is about essentially helping formal actors to better integrate actions, education, targeted at the communities and the citizens, so better involving the population through a variety of tools. We are especially interested in three big themes, which are around risk awareness and empowerment of the population, which are around communication with the population, and I didn't say to the population, but with, so in bi-directional ways, and then finally also about how spontaneous contributions, actions of the populations can be better integrated, considered. We are doing this in three preparedness cases, La Réunion, Malta, and Rotterdam, so with different kinds of risks or contexts that we are considering. And so today we are really focusing on La Réunion with a strong emphasis on the cyclones as a pretty central type of natural risk in the island. So the island of La Réunion, you might not know about it, but it is located east of Madagascar in the southwestern part of the Indian Ocean, and it is exposed to cyclone risks on a seasonal basis. So every year between November and April, roughly. You'll hear many more details about that aspect later by a true specialist. And so this is just a map to show you where it's located, but also to show you what happened earlier this year, at the end of February this year, where a cyclone, and this is a provisional map, which ended up being quite accurate. And so the cyclone went largely through the island and had very serious damages, impact. So we'll talk about that as well, and we'll use those kinds of lessons learned to reflect also on the tools that are implemented and on what is still needed on a territory like La Réunion, an island which is part of a country which is also far away in a different culture. So it's a specific context, I would say. So without further ado, just a quick overview of how the session is organized. We'll start with just an introduction to let you better understand the context of La Réunion and exposure, especially to the cyclone risk. And then we'll move to a part where we present in slight details three examples of tools that are of a very different nature. So it's not an exhaustive list at all, but sort of a good way to highlight some types of tools or practices that exist. And we'll finish with a reflection on innovation needs and potential challenges in such a territory, especially related to the topic of DRM. And so we'll have a bit of time for Q&As at the end. So we'll try to have fairly short presentations, a couple of questions from us, the moderators, so myself, Mathieu Bonla from SINTEF, and Aurélie Grandin from Sciences Réunion, and then we will have more like open conversations together. And so we start now with Sébastien Anglade from Météo France. So I'll let you present yourself in greater details.
Thank you, Mathieu. So tropical cyclones is a large-scale weather phenomena that consists of a cyclonically rotating cloud mass around a storm center, which is called the eye. Tropical cyclones are a multi-hazard system. They are associated with heavy rainfalls, strong winds, and dangerous sea state conditions. Large waves generated by tropical cyclones generally propagate quite far away from the center and can cause some coastal impacts, especially in the direction where the storm heads. Heavy rainfalls, as you can see, can be present quite far away from the center in areas that is called peripheral bands, but also near the center. Strong winds or extreme winds is generally confined quite close to the center and is associated with storm surge, that is an anomalous elevation of the sea level. Next, please. And here I highlight one of the main issues while dealing with tropical cyclone and small islands like La Réunion. This is a modelization of the strong wind swath from tropical cyclone Garance in February. And it shows you the horizontal extension of the strong winds associated with Garance. And you can see that in 90 kilometers horizontal section, the wind condition goes from nothing, usual wind condition, to extreme wind condition, devastating wind condition in only 19 kilometers. It means that if the track of tropical cyclones Garance would be just nudge toward the east, just for a few dozen kilometers, it will mean that all the strongest winds of Garance will miss the island, will remain oversea, and winds impacts over La Réunion will be much lighter that was observed for tropical cyclone Garance. So you need to be very specific, precise on the direction of the storm, and this 90 kilometers is roughly the forecast error that we have at 24 hours lead times only. So it means that in one day in advance, we are not completely sure that the worst part of the storm will hit our island. Next, please. So, as Mathieu said, La Réunion is located in an area prone to tropical cyclone. In the basin is called the Southwestern Indian Ocean. In average, each year we observe in this basin 10 systems that reach tropical storm stage, 5 of which became tropical cyclones, and 3 intense tropical cyclones, that is the equivalent of major hurricane in the North Atlantic. This tropical cyclone activity represents about 11% of global tropical cyclone activity and 37% of southern hemisphere tropical cyclone activity. And as Mathieu mentioned, most of the TC activity on the basin range from November to April. Next, please. And looking at tropical cyclone passing very close to La Réunion, this is a map that's showing the 15 tropical cyclone, mature systems that within the last 6 decades passed less than 100 kilometers from La Réunion. So all these tropical cyclones gave significant impacts, at least wind impacts on La Réunion. This is not exhaustive because some weaker systems like tropical storm cause a lot of damage. I recall from, for example, tropical storm Hyacinthe, 1980, that caused a lot of rainfall over La Réunion, but is not present here because it was not a tropical cyclone by that time. And also systems like Gamed, it was a huge cyclone with a huge wind field that passed at more than 200 kilometers from La Réunion, but brings strong winds and heavy rainfall impacts at La Réunion. So based on this, we can say that we have at least one significant event every 4 to 5 years. This event is mainly in January and February, but we can say that at La Réunion, tropical cyclone impacts can occur from December to April. And if we take into account tropical storm also, it's one event every 2 years in average. Next, please. So this is a few illustration of the consequences of the last tropical cyclone, the tropical cyclone Garance, that passed over La Réunion during the day of 28th of February 2025. The eye crossed the island from the north part of the island to the southwest part, and the calmness of the eye was felt by a lot of inhabitants of La Réunion. The wind damage was very contrasted over the island, with extreme winds felt along the eastern part of the island mainly, and much lighter winds felt on the western part of the island. The cyclone was rapidly weakening as it passed over La Réunion, and it was quite asymmetrical. After the eye crossed the island, a significant rain event took place, and we can see that the northwestern part of the island reported extreme rainfall in a few hours, with only 1 month of rain in a few hours in several areas of the northwestern part of the island. Next, please. So, La Réunion has a long-standing experience with tropical cyclones, and cyclone alert system exists for now many years, decades we could say. And the basis of this alert is to take into account this uncertainty of the range of impact that we could have for a tropical cyclone, and to build like a countdown of mobilization of the population and in the state of awareness and preparation. It starts 24 to 3 days before a possible tropical cyclone event with the cyclonic pre-alert. And the key message is to the population is get informed. Just don't need to shut down, just get informed. There is a cyclone that could threat the island for the next 2 to 3 days. 24 hours before cyclonic condition may start at La Réunion, the forecasts are more precise and the level of threat is increasing. So orange alert means that in 24 hours, a danger is possible. The population needs now to get prepared, and schools are closed. The red alert is just signifying that severe weather conditions will start, and in the next few hours, and population are invited to live at home. Rescue can still operating, if possible, by that time. And the new purple cyclonic alert is designed to say that extreme wind gusts would occur in some part of the island with gusts greater than 200 kilometers per hour, and population and rescue is confined. So to put to drive this cyclonic alert, this is a relationship, a work between Météo France that advise authorities and authorities that take the decision to put in force different steps of the cyclonic alert system. So we need to have a good relationship with the authorities, and you can see the small arrow that show the degree of interaction, of meeting that we have with the authorities at each phase, and you can see that there is some increasing and of the meeting and the advice that we can provide them at each step, with a permanent exchange during the worst of a cyclonic spell with the red alert and the purple alert. After the tropical cyclone, there is a rescue phase that is a return to normal life, and authority and rescue are working to make the normal life back again. And after each system, we have some feedback and communication meeting with the authorities to analyze good practices and areas for improvement. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We speak about tropical cyclone in Réunion Island, and this last year we have two major events like Belal and Garens. We have just a little question. What did the last tropical cyclone, teach about us, about preparedness and responsive?
I would say that keywords to continue to work with is communication with population and the authorities. It's really important to build trust between our agency and the authorities. This is really important for a smooth handle of a tropical cyclone event. So, and communication with the population also to provide the good message. And I would also say that collaboration with all agencies that can help to convey the right message to the population. It can be operated during an event, but it's much better if it can also start well before the event. And there are many agencies to work with to improve this, because at least I would say that education of the population is also a key aspect, mainly when population is, for example, I think about Mayotte, that was not used to huge tropical cyclone like tropical cyclone Chido in December. And before Chido, it was hard work to make understand that population that it was a tremendous event that was coming here.
Thank you. You speak about educational tools, and we have to speak about this.
Right. This is a perfect transition. Thank you very much. And which brings us to the second part of our session, really focused on the development of this knowledge, competencies, and so forth, and involvement of the population. So we start with Juliette Legros from the Red Cross, especially Pirois. Maybe you can say a word on what Pirois is. Here you go, Juliette.
Okay, thank you, Mathieu. I represent Pirois Center, which is a branch of the French Red Cross, and work around disaster management, from preparedness, relievement, and during the disaster. So for this presentation, I will present the Pare Papare project, which means "Are you ready?" in Creole. And I will just show some games and tools to understand which kind of target we work with and work for. First of all, we developed 14 years ago an educational kit for school with a learner's book and a teacher's booklet for upper primary, around 8 and 9 years old. At schools in the program. After, we have a game called Paré pour l'aventure. It's ready for adventure, and it's around a quiz and a question around natural risk in Réunion Island, and it's for the little children too. We have also a tale and it's really nice because they developed the tale in 2 languages, in French and in Creole, because it's for really, really small, like 4, 5, 6 years old, so they can develop a beginning of the risk culture with many little animals to explain which risk and the good way to react during a disaster. Sorry. And then we have Parebuzz. It's like a quiz champion, and it's really, really interesting for the public, for the older targets. And it's around natural risk in Réunion Island, and also the global warming. We have another tool called Katakit, and it's like a a game to prepare your emergency bag if you have sorry, to leave your home like 1 or 2 days with essentials stuff in the bag. And it's to make understand that sometimes we have to leave home. So it's really important to explain this construction of the bag from the children to the older targets. And we have, I will just speak about Opération Mafat. It's like an escape game. And you have to escape the cirque by answering the question on natural risk. And it's like really, really contextual because the risk, the circus, it's really isolate, and so it's really important to understand that we have to be prepared to the disaster. Next, sorry. Just to see on the picture on the right, the game Ready for Adventure. It's like a huge game, and it's like really for the children to understand the natural risk. And we go to the school and develop this game with the teacher. They ask, so they prepare some question around the risk. And so the teacher and the student and the French Red Cross work around this topic. Okay, and just a new tool. It's about flood risk, especially, and it's a virtual reality. So during 10 minutes, you are in the house, and the water just go up, and you have to react. So it's like really immersive, and it's really nice for the teenagers and adults. Just to have a little focus on the Kata kit, we play like how can I say? It's like the faster will win, and in 1 minute you have to put all the 7 essentials items to just leave your house in a minute. And at the end, the instructor explained with the 5 essentials verbs, which are to hydrate yourself, to eat, to treat injuries, to signal and protect yourself. And so people just can imagine that the phone is not that essential if you don't have electricity or stuff like that. So it's like it's kind of important now because everybody is like really with the phone and numerical stuff, and sometimes just a few tools, essential tools, are really much more important. To finish the presentation for the projet Preparedness project, sorry, we are developing a gamified application for youth around 12 years old and older, and the objective is to raise the preparedness about cyclone hazard, especially, and with a focus on promoting appropriate action based on alert levels. As Sébastien said before, we have all the alerts, and for instance, for the red alert, as we see on the screen, we have 4 little game to understand what we have to do on this alert especially. And in each alert we have mini games to understand what is the good way to react. And that's all for this for this application.
Thank you very much, Juliette. We are now moving to Martine, who's online with us, and we'll talk especially about the work she's been doing with communities.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you, Mathieu. Well, I've been developing Ensemble Nous les Parés program as a consultant since 2023 for the French Association for the Prevention of Natural and Technological Disaster. And it calls Ensemble Nous les Parés, and that means together we are ready. So we try to answer to Juliette's question, are you ready? This initiative was inspired by a proven model in Quebec, the ROCMOM, and we adopted it first in Réunion Island, and now it's going to be, it has been adopted for mainland France and Mayotte. And we consider the associations, the NGOs, as the first mile, the first kilometer of democracy. And in times of disruption, they are the closest to the population, and that's why it was obvious for us to create a tool for them. Through one-day training and a powerful tool, it's quite simple, but it's powerful. The Emergency and Solidarity Plan, PMUS, we support them in 4 steps. The first one is to becoming aware of that everyone is exposed to risks. Secondly, we want them to recognize that they are legitimate actors. Third, we make them live simulated crisis, and they have to understand, in fact, that they want to help during a disaster, but sometimes they don't have the good reflexes. And that's why, in fourth, we lead them to adopt the PMUS as a way to anticipate and prepare. So far, we have led 9 workshops, training 60 associations in Réunion Island and 14 facilitators. We did a training day for facilitators in Paris and for 10 NGOs also. And we are going and we are adopting in Mayotte the program and the tool. One of the strongest lessons from these sessions is the realization by association of their own limitation during disaster. They often, they can't, in fact, assist the beneficiaries at the very moment when needs are the greatest. And this is why we think that we have to focus on reinforce beneficiaries' daily capacities before crisis and adapting essential services to the new needs that emerge afterwards. And this is precisely what we do, what we try to do with Capacité, the association I founded, because we work on building resilience loops. We want to link climate risks, social vulnerabilities, and disaster to show how crises often multiply pre-existing fragilities. Our approach is to develop resilience loops with 2 complementary types of resources. First of all, external resources for people that lead us to work with social workers and NGO to help them to adapt their post-crisis tools and services. And secondly, we work on internal resources. That means we try to reactivate and share good practices that already exist in communities. This could include preserving food without electricity, recovering water in apartments, safe behavior during cyclones, or low-tech activities to keep children engaged during blackouts. We can use workshop, pathway, training to equip both association and social worker, so they can reach beneficiary in proximity and in trust. In this diagram, you can see the difference. Without support, vulnerabilities accumulate, and the trajectory goes down, very badly down. when we combine safety nets, such as association action and social work services, the resilience gains can appear, and the gap between the two curves represent what we can achieve together. Fewer losses, stronger recovery, and more robust communities. In doing so, we really think that with capacity, we can help communities and individuals, especially those that are the most marginalized, to experience that they can be active agents of their own safety, their own resilience, and their collective future. It's a way to affirm that for the most vulnerable population, preparedness is part of dignity.
Thank you very much, Martine. And we're moving to the last presentation of this part. David from the Agora will talk about information, risk information especially.
Thank you, Mathieu. So hi, my name is Daniel, and I'm going to talk to you about how to make risk information available. In other words, it means that I'm going to talk to you about how to turn data into information and then information into knowledge. So who are we? I'm the co-director of Agora, and Agora is a Réunion Island urban planning agency. As you can see on all the three images that you have on your screen, our island is a small island where you have such dense areas with major urban infrastructures, and it's also an area where you have major environmental issues. You have big mountains, you have the Mafat circus that Juliette was talking about earlier, and in such a context, we have a lot of natural hazards that apply on our territory. As Sébastien was talking earlier, when you have a cyclone on the island, it's not just a cyclone, it's winds, it's rain, it's waves. So all these hazards combined on such a small territory are very difficult to manage, and we need to find how to share knowledge about it. So how do we make risk information available? We work with all levels of public authorities on the island. On your screen, you can see all the logos of the French state, the regional council, the departmental council, some of our municipalities and inter-municipalities. And for all these public authorities, we built some tools. Tools like, let's say, one of the main ones is the risquenaturel.re website. Risquenaturel.re means, if I translate it, it's just like naturalhazards.com, you know. And in such a tool that we built for the public authorities, but which is also useful for the population, for young people, for researchers, for everybody, in fact, you can access to many data and many kind of knowledge. I'm going to talk to you about two of the main entrants that you have on this website. First one is a map collection. On your screen, you have our island. It's a bird eye view that you have. It's a small island, you know. It's something like 2,500 square kilometers. So this is our island. And if you go on the second map, you can see in shades of red the landslide and the ground movement hazard. So you can see that it's almost everywhere. On the second map, you can see in shades of blue the flood hazard. So it's also almost everywhere. And then in the last map, you can see what would be the translation of those maps of hazards and their addition into the risk prevention plan zoning that we have in our official documents published by our authorities in Réunion Island. And it said, okay, if you are in a red area, it's strictly forbidden to build. And if you are in a blue area, it's a place where you have some recommendations that you have to follow if you really want to build something. And then the small remaining places, the remaining areas, are the places where officially it's possible to live in our island. Okay, so you will say there's a little place just in the middle with no color, and it's the famous circus of Mafat. So just to say that it's not a risk-free or a hazard-free haven. On the opposite, it's a place where you have the steepest mountains of the island. You have just a few people living there. You don't have any roads, any car. People are just walking. So it's like a place where it was not necessary to have some additional, zoning that would stop the possibility to build houses there. So this is to show how the context of our island is very preeminent if you are talking about hazards and risks. And with such tools, we can zoom in. If you go on the website, you could do it by yourself, but it's just a screenshot to show you how the tool is working. You can zoom to the parcel level, and in such tools, you can then select one parcel by clicking, or you can enter your address or your parcel ID. Mathieu, if you want to show it on the screen. And then if you select your address or your parcel, you can access to the official document that will tell you, depending of the zoning on your land plot, if it's possible for you to build or if it's forbidden because of a landslide hazard or a flood hazard or something like that. So this was just a short overview of the first kind of tools that we provide on this website. And the second kind of tools that we provide is some dashboards, like the ones that you have on your screen. Those dashboards are clickable everywhere. It means that you can select just one of the municipalities that you have in the center of your screen, where you have the little map of the island. And you also have some indicators. The ones that you can see on the left side means that we have actually something like 130,000 hectares on the island that are concerned by hazards and the highest level of interdiction in our zoning documents. And on such dashboards, you can select some geographical elements. For example, if you click on one part of the dashboard to select one level of cities in the island, let's say the one which I've took, for example, is the cities that have a major economic role on the island. And then all the elements on screen will update, and then it will show you that we have only, if you see the indicator, 3,600 hectares of areas that are concerned by a high level of risk and then interdiction of building for these kind of cities. So it was just an overview of the possibilities that we have on this kind of website. You can go there and discover by yourself. As I said, we built this kind of tools because we wanted to make them useful for public authorities in order to develop their knowledge and their awareness. But it's also useful for professionals. Actually, it's often notaries, real estate agents, and it's also useful for researchers and people in schools and academia, and of course every citizen, including young people. And that's it.
Thank you so much. We have a question for our panelists. We see a lot of educational tools, of platforms, data collection. The question is, how can we better use with all these educational tools and risk data for awareness?
Who want to start?
If you want.
I can start just by a small example that we are working on currently. And we are working with educational authorities in order to improve the level of knowledge about how hazards impact our school buildings that we have on the territory of our island. I mean that it's very important on one side because if you want to prepare, you need to prepare, and maybe you will prepare differently if you know that one school is concerned by a flood hazard and another school is concerned by a landslide hazard. So it's very important to know that in order to take the good decisions when the crisis is coming. And on another side, it's also important because schools are not just for kids. Maybe when you are in a crisis situation, when you have a cyclone coming, a school is often like a shelter,
Yes.
for people who could have damages on their homes. So it's important not to put those people in danger again. You are not going to put people in a place where you know that maybe there's another risk that will come. So these kind of things are a kind of work that we are trying to do to improve the knowledge about risk, and then with education too.
Thank you so much. Juliette?
Yes, I will just want to add something with educational authorities. We developed the booklet, as I said earlier, but it was really interesting because it was in collaboration with technical partners like Météo France, Agora, the authorities, the National Forest Office, etc., to ensure the scientific approach for the kids and to prepare the kids to understand the risks, the hazards, and to react in the case of a crisis. And for distribute all the booklet, we have a partnership with the Rectorat of La Réunion, and they integrate those themes in the program directly. So it's like we are sure that around 14,000 students of 8 years old has the workbook in their hand around the 7 natural risks.
Good, thank you, Juliette. Martin, have you had something to?
Yes. Yes, when it comes to community and education, we have to talk about cultural courage. And we think that vulnerability is it's also cultural and structural, and we don't have to forget that we live in a post-colonial system that used to disqualify local, ancestral, and popular knowledge in favor of dominant paradigm that do not reflect lived reality on the ground. And we think that it's important to build security as a commons, education as a commons, and to maybe to recognize that a person who knows how to recognize a medicinal plant, store seasonal food, or gather the community is not less competent, less educated, but they are differently competent, and often they are more robust in crises. And we affirm that reclaiming ancestral and ecological knowledge is not nostalgic. It's not nostalgic. It's a necessity for climate and social adaptation, because when we restore confidence in a cultural background, we help people to get more and more agency.
Thank you so much, Martin. And it's a good transition because we have to speak about innovation,
Yes,
and
indeed.
probably ancestral. It's innovation too.
Thank you to the three of you. And we move to the last part with Evelyne Tarnus, who is going to talk especially about innovation and the potential to innovate in DRM.
Thank you, Mathieu and Aurélie, for giving us this opportunity to talk about what we've been doing in La Réunion about disaster resilience. I'm Evelyne Tarnus. I'm a researcher at RUISIA. RUISIA is a social sciences SME based in La Réunion. And I've been involved in the local research and innovation system for almost 20 years now. And at RISA, we develop knowledge on island systems and regional development policies. And Mathieu, you invited me to be part of this panel to give testimonial about how research and innovation in disaster risk management is working and what we've been doing. And I'd like to take a step back and talk about our research and innovation strategy for La Réunion, and especially the smart specialization strategy. Indeed, in 2013, the European Union placed research and innovation at the heart of its regional policy by asking all European regions to develop their smart specialization strategies, the famous S3, S3. For La Réunion, this European obligation became a great opportunity to rethink our development model, because at RISA we think that La Réunion suffers from what we call the island curse. We are trapped in this binary opposition between this Edenic vision for tourists and a complete nightmare where the island is reduced to constraints, handicaps, lacks, and necessitate permanent increasing public funds to function. And during a long foresight exercise, we mobilized local economic stakeholders, institutional and scientific actors to draw up a territorial diagnosis, which revealed the very vulnerability of our development model. We were copy-pasting a thermo-industrial model from continental region into a limited and remote island. So it couldn't work. That's when we started to shift our paradigm. We choose to transform the island's specificities into research and innovation challenges in order to build a resilient island. So this philosophy, which has been developed by us, by La Réunion, since 2014, is now at the heart of the Commission new paradigm for S3. So we've been doing this 10 years in advance, so good job La Réunion. And usually what I say is that as we are at the frontier of the world, we are also at the frontier of knowledge. That's a point I would like to share with you. So in 2020, and for 2 years, we organized a second broad prospective exercise. We wanted to establish research and innovation communities that associate researchers, entrepreneurs, public decision makers with citizens. This approach represents a fundamental break from traditional research models. We started from challenges encountered in the island and integrated the practical expertise of different stakeholders. Concretely, we created 8 thematic communities of practitioners, the researchers, the policymakers, citizen entrepreneurs, around research and innovation ambition. Each thematic community, was given the responsibility to develop a research and innovation agenda in their specific domain, to build critical mass at local level, to connect with EU networks, and to develop funding synergies between the local and the European funds. Communities could work in different domains, and as Martin was talking about this post-colonial context, actually we created a community which works about building inclusive society in a post-colonial and multicultural context. Another one was working on energy transition in off-grid systems. And one of these communities is specifically dedicated to disaster resilience. And let me quickly present this one. If you go to the next slide, you can see that this community brings together a nice diversity of actors. The Observatory of Universe Science at the university, BRGM, the French Geological Survey, Météo France, laboratories from the university, but also Agora, our agency, our urban agency planning, Pirois, the Indian Ocean platform of the Red Cross, as well as public authorities in charge of natural risks and civil protection, like DEAL, and also a local association. If you go to the next slide, you will see that our collective ambition was to turn La Réunion into an excellence and inclusive innovation hub, which would provide solutions that support the resilience of island population to climate change and natural risks. And we have identified 3 research priorities: observation and modeling of climate change and natural hazards, understanding the impact of these changes on different sectors, and the need for empowering the local population for risk reductions. And when we are doing that, one of my jobs was to connect the community with EU networks. That's how La Réunion entered the Horizon Europe SYNERGIES Project, which gathers us today. I was doing my job, and through EU mapping, I heard about SYNTEF and about Deep Blue, and then La Réunion joined the dynamic, so it was quite a nice things to do. So I'd like to take a few seconds to thank you, Mathieu from SYNTEF, and also Alberto from Deep Blue, to have welcomed us so well during the project preparation. And I want also to thank my colleague Aurélie at Sciences Réunion and Daniel from Agora, who trusted me when building the project, and they said yes without really knowing what it was about. So thank you very much, and thank you for the attention.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. We say yes, a great yes. We have a question for you. What are the next challenges regarding research and innovation for Réunion Island?
Well, I can see 2 main challenges. One is to sustain the community, because it was nice to make this foresight exercise, but how can you sustain such an approach or an initiative? We have managed to introduce some funding system in the ERDF program that will allow the community to build research and innovation projects and to get some funds for facilitation. But it's a bit unstable. So this is something I want to work on, how to sustain this community. And the second challenge I see is I would like to turn the community into what I call a reflective space, where we would think, produce, absorb, and test solutions. In one hand, we could capitalize on the experience of La Réunion to formalize tacit knowledge, as Martin was saying, that we need to formalize the tacit knowledge, traditional knowledge, community-based information and knowledge, not only the institutional ones. And this knowledge could be adapted, transferred to other islands and remote territories that are facing the same challenges. So I think that could be one part of the challenge. And the second part would be also to use this community to integrate, test, and adapt innovation that were developed elsewhere. And that would help us strengthen our local preparation to crisis. So that would be my second thought, to have a reflexive space based on this community. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, very nice. Evelyn, the last point that you mentioned is pretty much exactly what SYNERGIES is trying to achieve, especially to make solutions around the world sort of visible and to provide that as sources of inspiration to the diversity of territories, taking into consideration that context matters, right? And so, as you say, it's not just a matter of identifying them, but also to experiment with them, to test whether they fit the local context. And that's what we're trying to do. So we have a bit of time, and so I would like to open the floor to all the panelists, and just with the simple question of whether you would like to add something. You've heard now everybody's presentations, and are there other points you would like to bring up in the conversation?
I think Evelyn?
Yes. When we talked earlier about building trust among the different type of stakeholders, and specifically towards the community, the people, the inhabitants, I think that could be something very important to work on, because I feel like here we are all institutions. We are working in, in kind of authorities, yes. Even if we are not authorities, but we are kind of. And the way we talk is maybe a way that give distance to the colleagues and people living around us, and it's not helping building trust. So I don't know what everybody here think about how to build trust with people that feel maybe the distance, but this is something I would like to discuss with maybe the group.
Maybe I can try to speak on it. I think that to build trust, we have to take time. And this is sometimes something that institutions don't have the time. We need time to understand people, to get some immersive experience with people, to make them understand that we do really trust them on the capacity to make things, to have the solution. We have to take time to build another kind of relationship between academics patterns and community knowledge-based connaissance. And this, we need time. We need to finance this time with no action, with no activity, with no report, just to spend time with people, just to understand, just to share knowledge, practices. And this is something very, very hard to have time, because institutions don't have time and don't understand the society time. And when we go to traditional, ancestral knowledge, we know that they are built on generation, and we cannot just go and make an extractivist way of taking this knowledge. And we have to let the people who have this knowledge to talk to other people. And I think that we have to adapt us and to understand them, not to put them in our cases, but we have to make this a kind of decentered approach.
From what I've seen in other places also, I think the role of, I would say, intermediary bodies for some, like associations, for example, is quite key also. That is the relationship, between members of the population and institutions, whether we're talking about education, or whether we're talking about weather information, or whether we're talking about, those kinds of things are not necessarily very easy directly, and sometimes benefit from having people who can sort of translate or transmit that kind of information. I don't know if that's part of your experience also in La Réunion, or maybe from education standpoint. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
I don't know if it's directly related to your question, but I was thinking about one interesting phenomenon that we are observing as a Réunion Island Urban Planning Agency is that the risk memory, the risk awareness over time is something really important that we really need to progress on. And what we see is that this year and the year before, we had 2 cyclones on the territory. And as Sebastian has shown earlier, we didn't have so much huge phenomenon in this, you've seen something like 6 decades, it was 15 cyclones in 6 decades. So sometimes we had like 10 years or 15 years without a huge cyclone on the territory. And what we've seen is that when we had a huge cyclone this year, as a small island, we still have, some legal building and some illegal buildings. And even people who are building illegal buildings, they are doing it following some good practices. While the time is going on, and sometimes 10 years or 15 years after a huge cyclone, people are building legal houses, but without following good practices, because they don't have, they forget about this. They forget about the good practices because they don't have enough consciousness, enough awareness about the existence of all the hazards. So it's really something we should work on.
Yes, David, just to follow up on you, it's yes, I completely agree with that. And I'm pretty sure that for the upcoming tropical cyclone season, there will be a lot of awareness from the population. But I would like that this awareness will maintain over the next few years, even if we don't have any, I hope that we don't have anything hard again this year, but I'm pretty sure that if there are 2, 3, 4 years without any significant event, it will start again like in the past, and it will again start again. So it would be great to be able to maintain this level of awareness and understand that yes, it could happen many years without any significant event, but we don't know when the next one will come, and at each beginning of the season, we must be ready to face it.
Thank you all. I would like to maybe open to the audience. I don't know if there are any questions by chat or microphone. Evelyn?
I can be telling things if I would like to share something.
If you have an important point you want to raise, please do so.
Yes, because I think that it's important to, in our post-colonial context, to build recognition also, the feeling of recognition of what we've been doing. And when we were having lunch, I was talking with these people from Estonia. They were just so stunned by all the work we've been doing in La Réunion, and they said, oh, this is a really, in La Réunion, the risk culture is amazing. So I would like to take some time to say how proud I am to see that the expertise of La Réunion is being recognized at EU level. And also to tell everyone that it's not that easy for us to be feeling this pride, because it's not because of the others. It's almost because of our own perception. Here, often, I can see a kind of tension. We mostly ask for special treatment. We want to be recognized as specificity. We are specifically specific, this kind of wordings. And I know it's important. And this specificity should also go together with the connections we share with others and other territories also. Because if we don't feel connected to the knowledge circulation is slowed and the barriers are created. So I think it's important to, okay, there's our specificity, but we are also connected.
I think this is a very important point. Some of the issues you raised around trust, around memory, these are things that we hear in pretty much all territories. Some territories are faced with earthquake risk, so this is even rarer than cyclones. But so I agree. So the way those things play out, I think the specifics can be territorial, but those big issues I think exist everywhere, and therefore tools, methods, practices, ways of addressing those kinds of issues might not be directly applicable, but certainly can be a way of reflecting on one's own practice and uses. Yes, indeed.
Maybe I can complete what Evelyn just said. We have just completed the first overseas matriarchal heritage university in Paris. There were women from Martinique, Guadeloupe, Guyane, Polynésie, Réunion Island, Kanaki, New Caledonia. And all those women have in common to understand that the knowledge are specific because what we have around our ecosystem is not the same, but the process is still the same. It's something about survival. It's something about caring for family, for children. This is a strong pattern that we do see in each territory, that we do not have any other choice than developing our knowledge, because we are isolated because we do not have all the good way, the good language to talk with authority. And women have this knowledge because women are in charge of survival of tribe, of families.
Then I suggest that we stop here. Thank you very, very much to our panelists, first of all, and thank you for you online. Yes, I wish you a good rest of the day. Thank you all.
Thank you.